I am Maya Okoro, and I am 26 years old. And the night everything finally snapped began with a message that shattered whatever illusions I still carried about my family. The text came at 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday, glowing harshly against the darkness of my bedroom. Maya, your father and I have decided you are not welcome at Easter this year. You contribute nothing to this family. Do not bother showing up. I stared at the screen until the letters blurred and my throat tightened. Contribute nothing. I had just finished a 16-hour shift at the hospital where I worked as a surgical nurse, the same hospital where I'd spent years working my way through school without asking them for a single dollar. But that wasn't what they meant. They didn't mean my time, my dedication, or the lives I helped save. They meant money, always money. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and tell me where you're watching from. It helps me feel like we're all in this together, especially on nights when family feels like a place I no longer belong. The money they meant was the $68,000 I'd invested into my father's failing construction firm 3 years ago when no bank in Charlotte would lend him a penny. Just until we get back on our feet, baby girl, he had said, tears in his eyes. You know I'm good for it. I was 23 then, soft-hearted and desperate for his approval. Now I was 26, exhausted and apparently worthless. My chest tightened as I sat up in bed, the thin walls of my one-bedroom apartment suddenly closing in. The streetlights outside flickered like distant stars, but they gave no comfort. Then came the buzz, another message. This time from my brother, Landon. Look, sis, don't take it personal. You know how mom gets. Maybe if you came around more. A sharp, bitter laugh escaped my lips. Came around more. I worked 60-hour weeks. I called every Wednesday. But I wasn't Landon with his polished marketing job and curated life. I wasn't my sister, Serena, with her 3 children mom bragged about at church. I was just Maya, the middle child who chose healing strangers over being a convenient daughter. Old memories resurfaced like bruises. Dad lifting Landon after his junior basketball win. That's my boy. Meanwhile, when I won the school science fair, Mom merely patted my head. That's nice. Did you remember to thaw the chicken? At 15, I earned a full scholarship to nursing school. Dad frowned. Nursing? If you're so smart, why not become a doctor? Your brother's going places. Landon dropped out of 3 universities and still got a celebration dinner when he finally graduated at 28. I graduated at 21 with honors and got a congratulatory text. A soft hiss from my radiator dragged me back into the present. Something inside me sank, something heavy and old, the familiar ache of never being enough. Sleep would not come. At 4:15 a.m., I dragged out a box from the closet, the one containing every document from Dad's business. My investment wasn't a gift. It was a loan, notarized and signed with a repayment plan of 5 years and interest. The first payment should have arrived 18 months ago. I hadn't seen a single dollar. A cold dread trickled into my stomach as I flipped pages. I opened my laptop and began researching. Harrison Builders and Design, the company I'd helped Dad rebrand, had won several city contracts. A municipal project worth $1.8 million had landed just 8 months ago. So why hadn't he paid me? My heart thudded painfully. Was it negligence or something worse? Scrolling through social media distracted me for a moment, but then my blood froze. Mom stood beside a brand new luxury SUV, smiling. My husband spoils me. Early birthday present. #blessed #lucky wife. The kind of SUV worth nearly what they owed me. My chest tightened. By 8 o'clock sharp, I was in the office of my attorney, Brielle Carter, a razor-sharp, soft-spoken woman from my church whose intelligence could cut steel. Brielle adjusted her glasses as she read through the loan agreement. Maya, they're in default. With interest, they owe you around $84,500 now. Legally, you can call in the full amount immediately. The room tilted slightly. $84,000. That could erase my student loans, fix my failing car, and let me breathe for the first time in years. What happens if they can't pay? I whispered. Brielle folded her hands. Then we sue. We can seize company assets, place liens, and, if necessary, force liquidation. But Maya, this is family. Are you sure? I pulled out my phone and showed her Mom's message. Brielle read it. Her jaw tightened. I'll make some calls. At the hospital later that day, I moved through my work like a ghost. During lunch, I foolishly checked Instagram. Serena had posted a picture labeled Family First. Mom, Dad, Landon, Serena, all smiling around a dinner table I wasn't invited to. The caption read, quality over quantity. Some people forget where they come from. We know who's real. The comments were worse. Judgments, insinuations, lies. I felt myself trembling. Dana, a senior nurse, approached me. "Are you okay, honey?" "No," I whispered, showing her the post. She shook her head slowly. "Baby, people don't act like this unless they know they're guilty and trying to get ahead of the story." That statement lodged itself in my mind like a key turning in a lock. That night, I finally checked the family group chat I'd muted months ago. And what I found made everything snap inside me. Conversations about excluding me from Easter, comments about me not appreciating family, and worse, Dad telling them, she's getting pushy about that loan. Family doesn't keep receipts. But I did keep receipts. And that was the moment I stopped being the daughter who tolerated disrespect. That was the moment I became something else. I opened my laptop with hands that were no longer shaking from hurt, but from clarity. For years, I'd kept a quiet spreadsheet. One I never intended to use, one I made only because deep down, some cautious part of me suspected that one day, the truth would matter. And there it was, staring back at me in cold numbers. Over $109,700 I had given or loaned to my family in the past 5 years. $68,000 to Dad's company. $12,500 toward Landon's wedding. $7,000 to help Serena with her car when her credit was too damaged to stand on its own. $5,500 for Mom's emergency dental work, which turned out to be cosmetic veneers she bragged about to her friends. Thousands more for birthdays, holidays, security deposits, emergencies that weren't real emergencies. And what had they given me? A $100 birthday card at 23. A used microwave when I moved out. Coupons for groceries, because apparently that's what I needed most. They claimed I contributed nothing. The spreadsheet told the real story. I contributed everything, and they gave almost nothing in return. My phone rang again. It was attorney Brielle Carter. "Maya, can you come in tomorrow morning?" "Just tell me," I insisted. She inhaled slowly. "Your father restructured his company 6 months ago. He changed it to Okoro & Sons Construction, LLC, instead of the original Okoro Construction Company. It's legally a new entity. He transferred all assets, equipment, trucks, contracts, to the new LLC. Your loan belongs to the old one. The one he's letting die." A cold, hollow silence filled my apartment. "He's trying to leave you with worthless paper, Maya." This was planned. I ended the call, not trusting my voice. My stomach twisted painfully. My father, my own father, had built a trap for me. Not a misunderstanding. Not avoidance. Not forgetfulness. A trap. At 3 a.m., sleep nowhere near me, I dove into every public record Brielle sent. The pattern was obvious. 3 months after I asked about payments, he hired a business attorney. Then came the restructuring. Then the silent transfer of every viable asset to the new LLC. Everything valuable had been moved out of reach. Everything except the debt he owed me. My phone buzzed again. A message from an unknown number. "Maya, this is Aunt Clarissa. I heard about Easter. I'm sorry, baby. Your mama is being stubborn, and your daddy, well, you know how he gets. But you're always welcome at my house. I love you." I blinked in surprise. Aunt Clarissa, Mom's older sister, the one we barely saw. The one they always called difficult, because she didn't let people walk over her. I called her immediately. Her voice was warm, steady. "I've been waiting for your call for years." "For years? Why?" I asked. There was a long sigh on the other end. "Because your father tried to cheat me too, Maya." I froze. She invited me over that evening. Her living room smelled of lavender candles, her shelves lined with books and framed degrees. She sat across from me with a stack of folders like a confession laid bare. "In 2009, your father borrowed $27,000 from me and refused to pay me back. When I asked for it, he told the whole family I was greedy, said I was attacking him. Your mother stopped talking to me. The only reason I ever saw that money again was because I sued." My breath caught. "Your mother said I was tearing the family apart," she continued. "But Maya, your father had just bought a boat that same month. He wasn't broke. He just didn't want to give the money back. And your mama defended him because that's what she does. She protects his image, not the truth." I felt something inside me break open. "Why didn't you tell me before?" Her eyes softened. "Your mother kept me away from you all. And when you loaned him money, I wanted to warn you. But you looked so proud, so hopeful. I thought maybe he'd changed. I was wrong." She handed me the folder. "Keep this. You'll need it. This isn't the first time he's done it. And it wouldn't have been the last. The next morning in Brielle's office, we laid everything out. The contracts, the timeline, the fraudulent transfer documents, the family messages, Aunt Clarissa's proof. Brielle's sharp eyes moved over each page. Finally, she closed the file. "This is clear fraud," she said. "We can sue your father personally. We can go after both LLCs. We can freeze assets. We can file a fraudulent transfer claim. If we push hard, we can do this quickly." "How quickly?" 90 days for a judgment. "But you said Easter is in 12 days. "Yes." Brielle leaned back. "Maya, what exactly are you planning?" "I want the papers delivered at Easter dinner." Her eyebrows shot up. "That's bold. They uninvited me. They said I contribute nothing. I want them to feel what it's like when contributions disappear." Brielle considered it, then nodded slowly. "All right, we'll make it happen. But you'll need someone inside that house." I smiled. "I know just the person." I called Aunt Clarissa. "How would you like to crash an Easter dinner?" I asked. Her laugh was sharp with satisfaction. "Baby, I haven't been invited to that house in 10 years. I'd love to." The next week unfolded like a strategic battle. Brielle filed the lawsuit on Friday: fraud, breach of contract, fraudulent transfer, and piercing the corporate veil. We froze Dad's company assets. We placed liens on the house, the trucks, the boat. By Monday, his attorney was calling. "Mr. Okoro would like to discuss settlement," he said. Brielle's voice was calm steel. He had 18 months to discuss payment. "We'll see him in court." That night, my phone lit up with rage. "Dad, Maya, what the hell are you doing? You're destroying this family. Landon, you're suing Dad? You're sick. Serena, I hope you're proud. Mom is in the hospital because of you." My chest tightened until I called the hospital. No patient named Evelyn Okoro. I dialed Mom. She answered immediately. "What do you want?" "You're not in the hospital," I said quietly. "Well, I might as well be. Do you know what stress you're causing? You told me I contribute nothing. So I'm withdrawing everything I ever contributed. That money was a gift." "No. Family doesn't steal, Mom. And Dad committed fraud." Silence then. "If you don't drop this, you're dead to me." "You made that true years ago," I whispered, and ended the call. Easter was coming. And so was justice. Easter Sunday arrived with the kind of warm, glowing sunlight that made the entire neighborhood look peaceful and whole. But peace was the last thing stirring inside me. Instead, I sat quietly in Aunt Clarissa's car, parked 3 houses down from my parents' home in Charlotte, watching the family that had cast me out gather without hesitation. I felt nothing, not bitterness, not hope, just a steady calm, the kind that comes when truth finally grows louder than obligation. At 2 p.m., the parade began. Landon and his wife Leona stepped out of their sleek BMW, carrying store-bought pies. Serena's minivan arrived moments later, her kids spilling out in pastel outfits. Cousins I hadn't spoken to in years walked up the driveway with smiles too bright to be real. From the window, I watched my mother adjusting the dining table, laying out the good china, smoothing the pastel tablecloth, placing fresh lilies in the vase. My father stood outside at the grill, beer in hand, laughing with Landon as though he'd never lied, never manipulated, never stolen. At 3:30 p.m., my phone buzzed. It was Attorney Brielle Carter. "Our process server is 2 minutes away," she said. "Are you still sure about this?" I looked through the binoculars Aunt Clarissa handed me. I watched my mother arranging silverware with care, the same hands that typed the message telling me I contributed nothing. I watched my father flip meat with the same hands that signed fraudulent documents. "Yes," I said. "I'm sure." At 3:47 p.m., a woman dressed casually, almost like she was bringing a homemade casserole, walked up the front steps. She knocked lightly. My mother opened the door with a warm, practiced smile, the one she always used for guests. The smile vanished the moment she saw the envelope. We couldn't hear the words, but we saw everything. Mom's face drained of color. She called for Dad. Dad snatched the documents, flipped through the pages, and went crimson with rage. He stormed toward his truck, only to freeze when he saw the immobilization notice plastered across the windshield. The truck, legally considered a business asset, was frozen. Landon walked out, reading over Dad's shoulder. His expression twisted in disbelief before he yanked out his phone and dialed immediately. My own device rang seconds later. I let it go to voicemail. Then Aunt Clarissa's phone rang. She put it on speaker. Landon's voice exploded through the car. "Aunt Clarissa, are you with Maya? You need to stop her. She's destroying the family." I I will never forget my aunt's response. Her voice was ice. Your father destroyed this family when he committed fraud. Maya is only collecting what she is owed. And frankly, it's about time someone stood up to him. Landon cursed and hung up. 43 days after that explosive Easter Sunday, the lawsuit settled. Dad's attorney realized what we already knew. They were going to lose. Every fraudulent transfer had receipts. Every signature had a timestamp. Every lie had a paper trail. The settlement terms were not mercy, they were math. They owed me $84,500 for the unpaid loan with interest. Full legal fees. An additional $18,000 in damages for fraudulent behavior. Payment due in 30 days, or they risked liquidation of the business and possible foreclosure. They paid. Dad took a loan against the house. He sold the fishing boat he swore was his retirement dream. Mom sold the luxury SUV she'd shown off online. Landon and Serena were forced to contribute $10,000 each because they'd accepted gifts from the business during the restructuring. And when the dust settled, something strange happened. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt hollow. Not regretful, not guilty, just hollow. Because sometimes winning comes with the realization that you were fighting for something that was already gone. Then, slowly, messages started appearing. The first was from Kim, Clarissa's daughter. Thank you for showing me it's okay not to accept mistreatment just because we share blood. I'm proud of you. Then from Uncle James, Dad's brother. You did what I should have done years ago. Thank you for exposing the truth. Then, unexpectedly, a message from Leona, Landon's wife. Maya, I shouldn't have commented what I did online. I didn't know the truth. Landon is in therapy now, trying to understand his patterns. I'm sorry. And then one day, a simple text from Serena. Can we talk? We met at a small cafe. She looked drained, older than her 32 years. Mom and Dad barely speak to each other, she said quietly. She blames him for everything. He blames her for telling him to cut you off. And I've been replaying it all. I'm sorry, Maya. I believed them because it was easier than questioning them. I remained quiet, letting her speak. I want to pay you back for the car. Everything you helped me with. Not because you asked, but because I'm raising daughters now. And I don't want them to grow up thinking family means taking advantage of people. Her voice cracked. I want them to know their Aunt Maya, the one who stood up for herself. Who taught me boundaries are love, even when they hurt. I reached for her hand. We can rebuild, I said. Not what was, but something real. Over the next year, everything changed. My student loans were gone. I moved to a brighter, safer apartment. I took a 2-week trip to Santorini, my first real vacation in my entire adult life. I still worked long hospital shifts, but I started saying no. No to overtime. No to guilt. No to people who saw my worth only in what I could give them. As for Mom and Dad, we don't speak. Maybe someday. But not today. Landon texts sometimes small steps towards something like recognition. Serena and I meet monthly now. And Aunt Clarissa, she's not extended family anymore. She's core family. Chosen family. The kind who shows up, tells hard truths, and loves without conditions or demands. My mother once told me I contributed nothing. She was wrong. I contributed money. Time. Loyalty. Love. I contributed more than they ever deserved. And now I contribute to the family I'm building for myself. The one that values what I bring and doesn't drain me for existing. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and tell me where you're watching from. It means more than you know because healing feels lighter when we're all in this together.